This vintage Area 51 footage looks like it was taken sometime during the 50s if I had to guess. Service technicians in puffy white suits tend to an oblong disc-like UFO on long spindly legs. I'm not sure if this video looks wavy because of grainy footage or due to electromagnetic disturbance from whatever power source this object has. Seeing it in action looks pretty realistic and convincing. It seems to hover in place using some kind of anti-gravitational technology that I doubt we pioneered ourselves without the direct assistance or at least the supervision of an advanced species. The next time you're getting inked up, you'd best beware the angry poltergeists that may haunt the place. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Little Bo, the uploader explains that the ghost in their studio is becoming increasingly aggressive, particularly targeting men. The video shows the ghost in action as the artist is preparing to give a customer some ink. Several things literally launch from the nearby shelf, falling down on the artist who covers his head. In the comments, the OP says the items that were thrown were a bottle and a Bluetooth speaker. It seems this is not a unique thing for studios. A Redditor mentions their 100-year-old studio's poltergeist is quite active as well. He writes, if you're in the basement, you can hear people walking above you, even if there's no one there, and just a general sense of dread. Once I was there alone after hours drawing, and the phone rang 3 times, and then read line in use as if someone picked up the phone. I refused to be there alone. The OP responds that the doorbell of their studio also goes off a lot without anyone entering, as they call such events their phantom no-show clients. Is this angry ghost one of their phantom no-shows? We can only guess. One day, a man pulls up to a woman walking alongside her bicycle and asks if she needs help. She says no and indicates that she is living in the house nearby. Things have been strange ever since. The next day, the same man pulls all the way up her driveway and parks facing her house for a long time. He eventually backs away and drives off. The weird pattern of behavior continues for quite some time. Sometimes he would even drive by multiple times a day. Each incident was recorded by the home's CCTV system. Eventually, the man encounters her again and is told that she has a husband, but he does not give up. Now a different car shows up. Someone gets out and leaves a note asking if she would like to work for him, whatever that means. Instead of putting the note inside of the mailbox like a normal person, he spends a long time carefully hanging it from a nylon bag and stands around for almost 10 minutes before leaving. The first encounter happened in January, and the tapes stretch on well into the summer months. This man could have very well been obsessing about a woman who he had only met once or twice before. There's been no resolution as far as I know, and I'm not sure if the alleged stalking has ceased. A YouTuber named Kosh decides to do a social experiment and fake his own disappearance for 7 days just to see what happens. To do this, he cuts off all contact from the outside world, aside from a friend who is reporting back everyone's reaction. No one messages him for a while, but after about 4 days, his friends and family start sending him curious messages with a tinge of worry. 7 days pass and he learns that one of his friends has called the cops, so he decides to pay his parents a visit before the cops find him first. Here's his mother's worried response. It looks like she has been missing sleep and I can't help but feel bad for her. Look at her face and tell me if you think Kosh is taking it too far. Either way, you can tell by the mixture of worry and relief in her voice that this social experiment is absolutely real.
Where's the light?
Oh my god. Don't do that again.
Why were you worried?
Well, this is certainly an interesting and suspenseful video. I'm not sure what Kosh expected to gain from this experiment besides attention. After all, I think most people already know how their friends and family would react if they suddenly went missing, but maybe I'm missing the point. As the Electric City paranormal ghost investigators walk down a dimly lit hall, the camera person makes a joke to help ease the tension. Take a look where the red arrow is. The empty spot is about to become important in a second. As soon as he turns around, he gets his question answered in the form of a tall silhouette. No one was there just a second ago, but someone is there now. A living shadow that somehow stands out in near total darkness. A man is quietly fishing by himself, making content for his fishing channel called East Coast Fishing Adventures, completely unaware that he is being watched from afar. Partially concealed in the leaves is a person who is not with him and doesn't have a fishing rod. They just sit on a rock and don't move at all, just watching. The uploader gets the feeling that this is a ghost sighting, and it makes me wonder if he's sitting at the spot where somebody went under and sadly never resurfaced. There's a famous pub in Sydney, Australia called the Carlisle Castle Hotel. For years, this local watering hole has been haunted by the ghost of Old Pete, a bitter ex-employee who left the earth quite some time ago, but not his job. His ghostly antics have been caught on camera no less than 3 times. The first time Pete was caught on tape, he was helping a customer. The unsuspecting man opens the door to the cooler when Pete decides to grab 2 bottles of red wine for himself. His ghost grip must have not been too tight though, because both bottles go crashing to the floor. Looking at the footage, there's no way that the shelf gave out or anything like that. The bottles were thrown to the ground with deliberate force with no one nearby. Another incident occurred when the bar was full of witnesses. Everyone is happily enjoying themselves when a hanging red wine glass suddenly dislodges itself and smashes into the counter. Glass shards fly everywhere and the entire bar takes notice. Although this could have simply been a freak accident, what are the chances that, of all the red wine glasses, the one that's directly underneath the server happens to be the one to fall and break? The timing is almost too perfect to be a coincidence. Old Pete strikes again. The third and final tape reveals a glimpse of Old Pete himself. The bar is empty this time when the angry ghost suddenly materializes in front of the security camera. If you look closely, you can make out Old Pete's head at the bottom of the screen. He appears to be waving. Many other bartenders and customers all claim to have seen Old Pete for themselves in one way or another. It isn't uncommon for tapes to turn on by themselves, and the bartenders have seen what they can only describe as strange things while counting down their registers after close. To make this all even stranger, all of the bottles that go crashing to the floor are always high-end red wines. This just so happened to be Old Pete's favorite drink, at least when he was still with the living. This rocket ride is a famous local attraction at the Luna Park in St. Petersburg, Russia. Here's what the ride looks like normally, and this is what it looks like after a cable frays to the point of snapping clean through. This angle clearly shows how close the riders are to plummeting hundreds of feet below. Look at the top of the ride. That cable to the left is the only thing keeping them alive. The tip of the ride is bending from the pressure and looks ready to come off. Rescue workers are eventually able to get everyone down to safety, though I'm not sure they felt anything but safe while dangling over 200 feet in the air with no end in sight. If you have a heart, this entry will break it. It was this woman's dream to arrive at her wedding by helicopter. She decided to surprise her husband at the altar by doing just that. Alongside her brother in July of 2017, she climbed aboard the copter. The flight took off in Brazil, just 1 mile from the reception venue. The excited bride-to-be and her brother are both smiling at the beginning of the video as they take off. But soon they're swallowed up by fog, an alarm starts going off and the camera begins to shake. You can hear the passengers screaming as the pilot loses control of the copter. All 4 pass away in the incident. When the copter didn't arrive at the venue after 15 minutes, despite the organizers being informed of its liftoff, the pastor was forced to tell the groom the devastating news, as neither he nor any of the other 300 guests had known about the planned entrance. The incident came as an absolute horror to the entire wedding party. It's painful to imagine and harder to watch. When American Airlines Flight 280 took off from Seoul, South Korea, heading to Dallas, none of the 240 passengers aboard the flight knew they were about to take the scariest ride of their lives, but that's just what happened. The plane encountered severe turbulence, which was caught on camera by passengers. The turbulence was so severe that the flight was diverted to Tokyo. After 15 people aboard the flight were injured, 5 of them being hospitalized. One passenger, Mark Stanley, an attorney in Dallas, told the Morning News they were diverted after 45 plus minutes of insane turbulence. The remaining passengers were put up in Tokyo for the night, but not sure if I'd have the stomach to get back on a plane the next day. Some scary videos just stay with you, so much so that you wish you'd never seen them in the first place. This video comes from Ghost Crusaders, published to YouTube in April of 2020. This episode explores the haunted Leckworth Village, the crew's very first haunted location, which they investigated in 2014. Located in Rockland County, New York, in a 1921 report, over half of the residents in Leckworth were youth, 328 of the 506 patients, ranging from the age of 0 to 16. This fact may contribute to the negative energy in the village, as many Leckworth staff said a scarcity in necessary supplies, as well as food and water. Leckworth's conditions were exposed through photographs and media investigations, and although reforms were made in the 1970s due to public pressure, Leckworth permanently closed in 1996. Since then, the complex has fallen into decay. Everything remains how it was left, instantly abandoned. The Ghost Crusaders explores this institution and all its appalling history. The crew notes in the comments, while using an SB11 spirit box, I never thought I captured any EVPs. It wasn't until reviewing the footage for this episode that I heard the voice, and yes, I can hear other voices like multiple people talking, which I do say at one point, but I edited out for timing, but I can't make out what they are saying.
If anybody's in here, I don't know.
At one point, the EVP captures a voice saying,
So if something comes through, it should be irrelevant. So it's much harder to get interference. So if something comes through, it should be irrelevant.
A moment later, the voice pleads, "Please don't hurt me." Later, when they are in the bathroom, a voice, potentially from a phantom orderly of the hospital, tells them to sit, as if directing them to do their business on the toilet.
That was a girl's voice, did you hear that?
Yes.
Some of the EVPs mentioned are not very clear, but the female scream that's heard through the spirit box at one point is definitely frightening. Later, their cameras run out of battery, and while they're changing the batteries, the audio of the EVP is still captured. A voice says, "Leave me alone." At the same time, the investigator who heard the voice in real time, Dan, says he felt a cold breeze on the back of his neck and he felt someone was standing behind them, whispering into his ear, "Would you have the stomach to visit Leckworth Village? Neither would we." This video was taken at a famous car race in France called the Citroën Rally. A police officer is keeping the peace when he makes the mistake of not looking both ways before crossing the road. His carelessness nearly gets him annihilated when one of the contestants comes rushing around the bend. The officer puts his arms out at the last second, but this would have done absolutely nothing to save him. That papery smacking sound you hear is the back of his vest actually making contact with the car. Amazingly, the police officer brushes off the event like it's no big deal, and the crowd barely has a reaction either. Maybe they've grown accustomed to close calls. A YouTuber named R. Travis is exploring a haunted restaurant that used to serve Chinese food. The inside is extremely old, and the walls have rotted down to bare support beams. He feels watched and grows increasingly anxious, and begins to talk loud and fast to himself in an effort to keep calm. Sometime during his nervous ranting, he makes a comment out loud about a spirit he sees standing at the top of the stairs.
I don't give two flat. Oh, it's a set of stairs here. Let's roll. They might not be stable. I just seen a figure up there, but I'm not answering. I'm going chasing him.
Nothing really stands on camera. Could this purple triangular shape be whatever it was he was talking about? At first, he says he's going to leave it alone, but up the steps he finds nothing but an old musty attic with a worn out floor, but there's more than that up here.
I just seen another figure then. 3 black spirits have seen them past me now.
Aside from this white light that passes by at 3 minutes and 10 seconds, I do see some shadow figures. And a final shadow figure with white eyes can be seen here at 3 minutes and 22 seconds. They're all about the same height, scattered around different parts of the room, and with all of them still watching, our Travis abruptly ends the video. Who's there? Your worst nightmare. Posted by Deadhead Gillies to the Ghosts subreddit. The Redditor says there's something knocking in the walls, and we don't have to take her word for it because she has video proof. It sounds like someone is knocking insistently at the door, only there's no one there. She says this has continued for 2 months. She's not the only one to have had such an experience. Redditor Ritual Maniac writes in the comments that the same knocking pattern occurred at a house she once lived in, along with other paranormal happenings like voices, doors opening, running, etc. When they moved, everything, including the nightmares and unexplainable bad feelings, all vanished. The Redditor says this knocking wasn't heard initially and just started happening randomly as of late. At one point when her boyfriend lived there, he even heard laughing and whispering. The Redditor said after sending the videos to her grandmother, a pastor was supposed to come and visit, but of course an ongoing event began earlier this year and prevented that. Some in the comments think it's the pipes, others say it's likely a pesky animal, but myself and many others are leaning towards the paranormal. Game of Onions writes, let him in already, must be cramped in there, but I wouldn't take that advice. A YouTuber named Joe's Paranormal TV decides to explore a haunted forest in Michigan in the early morning hours. The first thing they notice is how all of the trees look unnatural, like nothing they've ever seen before. In fact, the deeper into the forest they go, the stranger things seem to get.
What was that?
A metallic clang draws their attention, followed by faint cries in the distance.
You hear that? Yeah, I hear something. What the?
Joe thinks he sees moving shadows and tries to reassure himself that he and his friend are alone in the wilderness. Still, his camera's batteries are draining fast despite being brand new, and now he feels like he's being watched. Joe's equipment starts to malfunction for a moment. It clears up just in time to catch this noise.
It's creepy out here, man.
Not sure what direction it came from though.
It sounded like right up ahead of us here.
It's the unmistakable sound of a baby crying. I think that they probably really did hear this, but let me know if you think it's real or edited. Anyway, they eventually find a clearing of slashed trees that have been rearranged into strange symbols. Maybe someone in the comments section can tell me if these are pagan symbols or not, and if so, what they mean and what they would be doing here. Eventually, Joe's terror becomes unmanageable, and he flees after he thinks he hears something close by. Strange voices continue to follow Joe and his friend as they make their way out. This video does not include a haunted Ouija board per se, but a woman named Carmela as she is being tormented by spirits unleashed from a Ouija board. Now she is being rushed to the hospital as she says strange and evil things, her face twisting as tightly as the muscles will allow. When the emergency medical technicians tell her to wake up, she sits up and an evil spirit appears to speak through her. Carmela lets her head drop back and begins to thrash back and forth, while the spirit that's inside of her continues to say cryptic messages. The video is believed to come from Spain, but not much else is known. I highly doubt that this has been staged because this looks like a real medical emergency, so she is probably either suffering from a delusion or she really was ravaged by spirits. They say that you can become possessed if you do not properly banish the ghosts at the end of the Ouija board summoning, so maybe that's what happened to poor Carmela. Unknown creatures can be startling, but none more so than this one. This clip submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by KidRob97, wondering what in the heck this creature is. Suggestions in the comments range from a bat to a giant flying squirrel to a calago, which is a flying lemur. Knowing what it actually is wouldn't make this footage any easier to watch. The creature is making one of the most agonizing sounds the human ear has ever heard while it bounds across the ground, hopping and unable to fly. The people have somehow caught the animal, which is tethered to a stick. If you've never seen this type of creature up close, this isn't the way you'd want to encounter it. People in the comments wonder if the animal somehow got stuck on this branch. However, the poor creature ended up in this position. I think we can all agree with Lisa's Matrix that this is just heartbreaking. This Dog Knows What's Up, published by Ghost Hunting Unique 0.4 in April of 2022. This dog is seen staring down the road. He then runs away without explanation. That's when this figure appears suddenly in the middle of the road. The figure later vanishes. But then this weirdo pops up, scaring a passerby. It's unclear what he wants, but he too vanishes after a moment. Later, another figure disappears as he's crossing the street. Is this just a road of no return? The Bermuda Triangle of pavement? Or is something else going on here? Is my house haunted? Writes a user named BB5432 on the haunted subreddit. This paranormal video of their place was caught on a neighbor's doorbell cam across the street, who later showed it to her out of concern. It doesn't look like much at first, but there's actually a lot of creepy things going on in this video that you might not see. But first, let's start with the basics. The Reddit poster claims her house was completely dark when these mysterious, unexplained lights started flashing all around the door. The television in the living room was not on, she says, and even if it were on, it's facing the opposite way at an angle that would not create this effect at all. Whether or not to believe her is up to you. I do, because the flashing seems too bright for a television and takes up the whole window at times. Nobody would watch a television screen that bright because it would undoubtedly hurt to look at for that long. And at 25 seconds, the creepy light grows even brighter and does not subside until the video ends. BB5432 later posted, she has no further reason to think their house is haunted, but still struggles to explain what this was if not a ghost. She adds the same thing happened to her years ago. The same neighbors showing her and her husband lights in their door, and nobody could figure it out then either. Someone said they should check the electrical wiring in that room, which I agree is a good move. But other than that, everyone else says this is super weird, and even she has to admit she's creeped out. There's also one more weird thing that I wasn't even going to mention, except she saw it too. A shadow figure in the doorway. You can see it whenever the lights go down, but it's probably most apparent at 4 seconds. I took a still image and zoomed in. Here it is with no special effects whatsoever. The outline of a shadow figure looking out the window. Tell me if you can see it too. I'd say that house is haunted, if that's not a resident. Some fast food places have hidden items on the menu that have to be special ordered, but I don't think that's what's going on during this horrifying moment caught on tape. Buried at the very bottom is what appears at first to merely be a piece of grated cheese, but is far worse than that. A disgusting yellow larva, soon to be a fly, wiggles hello at the camera.
It's moving, man.
He could always get his money back, but that's not the point. I don't see the taco anywhere in this video, so I assume that means it's been eaten already. Bugs and all. Ghost hunting YouTuber D-Dog Michael finds what he's looking for in this terrifying video. As he explores this abandoned place, the sounds are undeniable.
저기요. 그 소리야? 누구 있죠?
He hears another noise, like murmuring.
무슨 소리야? 뭐라는 거야?
He then hears a snapping noise, like something walking, and for a moment he thinks he sees something.
어? 잠깐만 가지. 잠깐만 와 다시. 가지 말고.
Then there's a jingling right next to him. A series of unexplained events happen. Later in that same room, more mysterious things unfold.
조금만 둘러보고 나가겠습니다.
It almost sounds like he's choking. Things get darker from there.
에휴, 뭐? 에휴.
Michael hears something, and then he sees it. Here it is again. There's definitely a shadow moving in the darkness. Is it a person or a spirit? My vote is for the latter, because I don't think I've ever seen a creepier house. Would you get on a small wooden boat in a murky pond full of alligators? YouTube channel The Omar Gosh Vlogs dives right in this scary video. Can you see the gator in the water, drifting toward them? You might think these folks landed in gator territory by accident, but it looks like this is actually something people paid to do.
Savannah looks hungry, don't you guys think?
The gators look like they could chomp them at any moment. In fact, the group is sandwiched in between them.
Look at these guys here. They so crazy to get followed by an alligator.
Break it in half, George. Break it in half.
Oh my god.
What do you think? Would you pay money to be gator bait? Me neither. Kathy and her family often hear scary sounds coming from a basement they've long suspected to be haunted by a paranormal entity. Objects tend to move all by themselves down here, and this time, on July 3rd of 2020, a loud bang from the cymbals of their drum kit sends their father downstairs to investigate. Kathy stays on the steps, and Jaden, her daughter, is too afraid to venture down there at all. The father cautiously takes a few steps into the room and doesn't see anything out of the ordinary. A strange sensation of being watched keeps them all on alert, and then...
You heard it though, right?
I don't hear anything now.
Oh my...
Two empty bottles fall off the ledge with no one nearby. Nobody is hiding in the corner to pull a string, and there's no room for anyone to stand behind the bottles. The objects just move on their own, like a ghost pushed them, or maybe Jaden stood at the top of the steps and pulled a string. Who knows? Weirder still is a ghost sighting on TikTok taken 4 days prior. This time using the ghost hunting app called Reality Ripple. Kathy's alone in the basement talking about previous encounters when she's literally interrupted by what she thinks are ghost orbs.
I turned on the... Oh, what was that? Looked like an orb. I don't know.
She turns on the Reality Ripple ghost hunting app and is surprised to find there's way more paranormal evidence down in the basement that's been right in front of her eyes the whole time.
It is... Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
The app is only supposed to show color around living things, but paranormal entities are known to trip the app too. In other words, TikTok detects a ghost attached to her husband's drums. An alternative explanation is that the drums somehow look like the outline of a person, but I don't see how. Not even a painting of an actual person is enough to set it off, so I don't see how these drums would. With all of this paranormal evidence in mind, tell me if you think they are really haunted by a ghost, or if the whole family is playing a joke. Steve Richards and Jason Griffiths make up the Ouija brothers, a fearless ghost hunting duo from the English Midlands. What makes them different from most, aside from their bravery, is that they are more skeptical and often set out to debunk famous haunted locations rather than promote them. With that said, they may have met their match at Shepton Mallet Prison. Built in 1610, Shepton Mallet Prison is the oldest prison in the country and also was the longest running until its closure in 2013. 4 centuries of brutal treatment have since created hostile spirits who were, for the most part, already not good people to begin with. So much horror has happened here that a strange feeling of negative energy is said to have washed over the very walls themselves, and it isn't long before the Ouija brothers, despite their usual level-headedness, find themselves looking over their shoulder and questioning every sound. Sure, any building that's centuries old is bound to make some really creepy noises, and some of what they record just sounds like the foundation setting and stuff like that. But other encounters, like what happens here only 2 minutes into their investigation, seems to be in response to a very specific question.
Are you upstairs?
I agree with them that it's coming from somewhere above, but let me know if you do too. Whatever's following them, it seems to prefer to have a height advantage at all times. But check this part out at 8 minutes and 25 seconds. Jason actually looks up a split second before he hears the noise. So did they plan this and he messed up? Or did he sense it moments prior?
Is that you?
He was up above, weren't he?
Confident they found a particularly haunted prison wing to explore, the Ouija brothers walk past each cell, encouraging anything inside to come forth, and they gently coax the spirit into revealing itself. Steve is too busy looking straight ahead and misses the light anomaly appear against the wall right next to him. I fully admit that it could be their camera equipment, but it never happens again a single time. And get this, the light appears at the exact same moment. Jason wanted to know if the spirit remembers what life was like at Shepton Mallet Prison.
If you wish to come out, knock on the door that you want to come out of. Do you remember?
Neither of them see this though, and so unaware that it's already worked, Jason continues to talk to the spirit about how the prison guards were able to go home while they had to stay here, and out comes the loudest bang of all.
Whoa, what was that?
But that's not all they hear. They get out the electromagnetic meter to try and measure air currents for paranormal activity. Nothing happens at first, but then it beeps loudly and turns green for a long time. They can't get the meter to do it again and are trying to figure out if this was a glitch when they are interrupted by something scary mid-sentence. I'll enhance the audio to make it easier to hear.
He sang very violent, didn't he?
It's a small, muffled voice from far away, so tiny and distant that it shouldn't have even registered on camera, not with that heavy door closed behind them, and yet it reaches their ears with alarming clarity. They agree it's a woman, but still they are unable to pinpoint its exact location, and when they go outside, the prison is as empty as ever. According to legend, this could be the voice of one of the oldest prisoners, a woman known only as the Woman in White. She is said to have taken the life of her fiancé and passed away in 1680 from regret. Now she wanders the A and B wings moaning her sorrows, and as they are searching for her, the electromagnetic reader they left behind goes crazy once again, indicating that while they may have left the room, perhaps she has not, and the reason why they were able to hear her so clearly was because her ghostly presence had been standing not in another room, but behind them all along. These books appear to be flying off the shelf all by themselves at an Alamo gift shop after hours. It's hard to tell if they were truly pulled out by a ghost or if someone was just pushing them from the other side of the shelf and playing a prank. We'll never know for sure, but if this were to happen anywhere in Texas, then a historical site like the Alamo would be a very likely location. Heads up, it's watching. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Nimrose. Something demonic is peeking out from behind this tree. A woman is walking down a forest path at night in Sweden, but she doesn't notice that she's not alone. Look to the right of the tree. A creepy long-haired demon-like figure peeks out for a split second before hiding itself again. I'm surprised it didn't snatch her when she walked past. Some in the comments are saying it was Krampus, the terrifying horned Christmas demon from European folklore. Others think it's a person in a mask. Still, others are more distracted by the eyes that pop out at the base of the tree at nearly the same time as the demon. Well, that can be explained away as a raccoon or other animal. What about the demon person? Any theories? A man is holding very still with his arm out at an odd angle. That's because he doesn't want to attract the wrath of this dangerous little fellow who somehow slithered into a scary situation. He is helpless as his friend carefully pinches his sleeve to determine where the snake is. He makes a cutting motion with his free hand to tell his friend what to do, not wanting to alert the snake with the vibrations of his voice. Once they carefully cut away the sleeve, you can see the snake is curled around his right bicep and in no hurry to leave. The mouth is right by his arm and it would take less than a second to strike with fangs. They wisely pull open the sleeve with the scissors to distract the snake and get its head away from his arm, but there's not enough room, so they need to cut more. By now, the snake is getting upset, so with no time left, they reach in and scoop him out. I guess they could have done that the whole time, but it was much too risky to be a first option. Take a look at its markings and tell me what kind of snake this is. I'm guessing by the way they handle it with such extreme caution that it has to be venomous. East Riddlesden Hall in West Yorkshire, England, is considered one of Britain's most haunted houses. While at the hall, YouTuber Roman Joe took a video of the old barn to send to her partner. When she watched it back, she noticed something strange. Let's take a look. Did you see it? Watch the window to the left of the carriage. something seems to block the light for a moment. The YouTuber believes it's a spirit passing by the window. If it's true that no one was on site, to me the only thing that could explain this is if that window had a shutter that just so happened to move with the wind at the same moment that the camera pans past. Otherwise, this is for sure the Grey Lady, and I think they should get out of there immediately. You expect to be entertained by Monday Night Football, not frightened, but some people were when they saw a groundskeeper vanish into thin air in the background of the news feed. In the footage, Jamie Carragher and Phil Neuville discuss the events of the night while presenting at Sky Sports Studio. Live on air behind them, the TV sets show a groundskeeper at the Stadium of Light seemingly preparing the grounds for the upcoming event or repairing them after the game. As he crosses the field in Sunderland, suddenly he simply vanishes. Those who spotted the figure were aghast. Was this a ghost caught in action on live TV? Some say it may just be overlapping feeds, but others believe what they saw was real paranormal activity. A YouTuber named Shahara Negron and her family have been experiencing some strange activity ever since they moved into a new place. Lately, her daughter has been complaining that her toys have been moving all by themselves, and one doll in particular seems to be at the center of it all.
This doll actually looks like, and it's kind of old, wow, nothing really precious or special about it, but it just has this feeling about it.
She sits and watches the doll as orbs dance all around. It isn't long before something starts to happen.
This is some freaky. I'm about to run. What the? Whoa, what the fuck?
I was thinking that somebody hidden behind the chair was moving it, but then the recliner footrest comes out by itself at the end. As far as I know, somebody would have had to grab the lever on the side or pressed a button, but I don't see anyone. Tell me if you think this family is legitimately being haunted. MKP Studios published this video in November 2017. According to the uploader, this mysterious clip had been sent to him under a weird email address with no message to accompany it. Usually you're supposed to immediately delete such messages, but for some reason, the uploader clicked on the video and came across this eerie black and white footage of a drainage pipe at night. The uploader claims that he assumed the individual was sending him content to post on his channel, but when he messaged the person, he received no response. On the fourth message, the email account had been deleted. So what does this creepy footage entail? The video starts with the camera scanning an outdoor area along a road with a sewer drainage system. As the camera approaches the sewer, you can hear children's voices coming from within. The cameraman gets down on the ground and shoots right into the sewer, and at least 3 distinct voices are heard. Two of the voices are a higher, childlike pitch. A third is growling, rasping, and doesn't sound like that of a child or even of an adult, more like that of a monster. The children are crying out as the voice hisses at them. They shout for help when the monster voice growls and hisses again. And then again, as the sound goes in and out, the cameraman for some reason abandons the children to this monster and leaves the sewer altogether. What is this? Were children just playing a game in the sewer? Or is something more sinister going on here? There is another option. This could simply be promotional material for the movie It, which came out around the same time as this video began circulating on the internet. Only these children know the truth, and unfortunately they're unavailable to tell us.
Alright guys, I'm gonna show you one of the reasons we hate this house.
There's a YouTuber named Not Your Average Wife, who apparently does not live in your average home either. Her dog Catherine absolutely refuses to go down the steps leading to their basement. Follow the dog's eyes because I think it might be seeing something down there that none of us can.
Catherine, come on baby. Come on pretty. Come on baby.
Not even a nudge from behind can convince Catherine to go down the stairs.
Come on, Catherine.
And just to prove it's not a general fear of steps, they show her using different stairs without a problem. Maybe the dog almost fell down basement steps or something and is now afraid of them. At least, that's the only non-paranormal explanation I can think of. And if it is paranormal, based on how Catherine is acting, it must be something sinister in that basement. This phantom is ready for high tea. Published in January of 2022, Sylvia C. writes that she was quietly watching TV when her resident ghost startled up the tea kettle. The security footage shows the electric tea kettle in the kitchen, apparently turned on by the spirit. It shuts off and Sylvia enters the kitchen and asks why it put the kettle on.
Spirit in the kitchen, what are you trying to tell me? Why did you do that?
The spirit answers rudely in response by throwing a pot lid across the kitchen. Some viewers suggest to Sylvia to keep a detailed log of each of the paranormal events she experiences, including the date and time and her response to them. Others suggest having the house blessed to remove the entity. If you were in Sylvia's shoes, what would you do? I'd be looking to move as soon as possible. A YouTuber named Shanen Sarmi is excited to travel to California, but far less enthusiastic about her flight, specifically her window, which is not sitting in place and makes this unsettling noise.
Going through the window and I didn't tell anyone.
By the time she lands, the first of the 2 layers of glass has slid down enough to poke her finger through. It looks like she is sticking her hand out of the plane, but she actually isn't. There is one more layer of glass that is hard to see, but still, the thickness of the window is now halved. She notices something was wrong with her window during the flight, but did not tell anyone until the very end, not wanting to cause a panic. I see where she is coming from, and she might have just been too shy and scared to speak up, but I personally think she should have said something, because they might have needed to make an emergency landing to fix it. She was trying to keep everyone calm by not telling, but looking at the condition of the window, I think it could have put everyone's lives in danger, but above all else, I'm just glad that she and everyone else was okay. A mother is mourning the loss of her child when a single white balloon floats over to her from his casket. Relief washes over her as she soon realizes this is almost definitely a sign of reassurance from her lost loved one. Look again and you'll see not only did this balloon start from her child's casket, it was also in front of a picture of him as well. It really is as if he is sending her a balloon to cheer her up and let her know that he still cares for her from the other side, perhaps even as a final gesture to help her let go. While walking in the Fox family cemetery, this couple's dog started behaving strangely. Published by Matthias Eger in November of 2013, this footage captures the dog freaking out about something unseen. Only a few gravestones are scattered throughout the fallen leaves, and the cemetery is empty, except for all those below the ground, of course. The dog appears on high alert and is looking in one direction in particular, at this gravestone. He even starts growling and backing away from it. What does he see? Well, many in the comments are telling the trio to leave. Bushy Brow Sensei agrees, writing, I was thinking maybe the dog could smell the remains, but that last reaction was definitely fear. I think it's time to go. In this scary video, Ghost Adventures of Cornwall receives some haunting EVPs from the devil. The first EVP is cryptic. The second set of EVPs don't sound to me quite what the team is hearing, particularly the name Mark, which is one of the crew members' names. I can distinguish found something and they're aliens from the EVP, but I think they're a stretch. The last EVP, however, is chilling.
What? Don't say the devil will play it.
Do you think the devil is playing? I personally wouldn't run the risk of playing this game. Two friends are hanging out when one challenges the other to make a real ghost video in the closet of his haunted house to see what paranormal activity takes place. His friend only half believes him, so imagine his surprise at the scary moments caught on camera next.
I swear it's in it. It's gotta be. Wait, what was that? What was that? Oh my god, what's that? What is it? It's gone.
His skepticism melts when a pale face regards them from the darkness. As they ask each other what it is, the figure moves away from them and they dare not follow. This creepy video could simply be someone shining a flashlight in their face to create the illusion of a ghost, except for one thing. There are two dark holes where the eyes should be. This looks like it could be a black-eyed ghost sighting, as they are known to follow people home after exploring the forest. But the most likely scenario is that this is just a mannequin and nothing more. Whatever it is, it's not a person, and there's just enough room for speculation to make you wonder if the scary stuff in this video is real. Only they know if this was a real ghost video or not. When things go haywire in your own home, it's easy to jump to a paranormal conclusion, especially when there appears to be poltergeist activity. Posted to YouTube in January of 2012, the uploader explains, "This is real footage taken at my house. As you can see the way the bottle moves, this is inhuman and impossible for a human to make a bottle move and gesture in these motions. This is totally real and scary. So if you are faint of heart, do not watch this, please. This is video of real paranormal activity." In the video, the men enter the kitchen, where a bottle on the floor appears to be rolling around of its own accord. After they enter the room, it stops for a moment before spinning around again. It twirls on its side and then stands straight up on its base. One brave man picks it up and puts it on the kitchen counter, which is where the clip ends. YouTuber MRLWAP2 in the comments suggests there's helium in the plastic bottle, but most people are more alarmed by the zebra pattern cupboards than the so-called ghost. Jenny Chanel writes that zebra print would make even a plastic bottle want to escape a room. So is this a supernatural case, or simply a case of terrible interior design? Only that soda bottle knows. This little 2.5 foot tall fuzzy robot is called Leonardo, or Leo for short, and in 2002, when everyone was playing PlayStation 2 and watching DVDs, this robot was already learning how to think, feel, and respond.
He's alive! He's alive!
Leo was created at the MIT Media Lab in Massachusetts. I know that doesn't look scary at all, but that's the whole point. It's designed so you won't want to be afraid of it. They want you to come closer so that it can learn from you. There's something disturbing about a fuzzy robot exploiting our natural trust for cute animals as a way to help it learn more about interacting with people. I doubt that they would need to downplay its appearance so greatly if the concept of AI wasn't so dangerous and scary to begin with. Anyway, Leo quickly learned how to do stuff after being shown only one time.
Press the red button.
Note how in this next part, Leo is not asked to press the buttons at all, but does so anyway.
Have you learned to turn all the buttons on? Very good.
Again, Leo was not asked to press them. It was asked if it knew how to press them. It correctly assumed that was what she was going to ask of it next. Even today's robots can barely predict what humans want, but this robot, who is 2 decades old, is able to make its own decisions. Next, the scientist flies an object around so that Leo can learn how to track things with its mounted camera eyes. Much like Leo's harmless appearance, they use an Elmo doll to disarm our senses. It's able to track this Elmo doll without problem. It learns how to identify and track red things if asked. Here, it remembers Big Bird's face and is able to find Big Bird when asked.
Can you find Big Bird?
Leo has a neutral expression at first. When the scientist says that Big Bird is a friend, Leo likes him.
Hey Leo, look at Big Bird. Don't you think he's great?
It can also be trained to not like something.
Leo, Cookie Monster is very bad. He's very bad, Leo. He's a scary monster who wants to get your cookies.
If Leo can be taught how to fear or love, then he could also be taught how to hate and destroy. Think about what a bigger robot could do with these abilities. It could be trained to be a police robot, a self-learning face-scanning cyborg that can be taught to do great good or great evil. Or even more terrifying, maybe it could come to the conclusion of what's good and what's evil on its own. Leo could be an early prototype for all that and more. Again, this is just an opinion, but it creeps me out to keep robotic AI looking as soft, cuddly, and unassuming as possible. Don't watch this video alone at night, warns a YouTube channel called Real Ghost Official. He must not know how brave the average Chills fan is after years of watching scary videos. Anyway, he's exploring some abandoned places in India when a startling discovery is made. Caught on camera is a pale, puzzling, wispy figure. A strange light that disappears into the dark without a trace. If there is a road behind him, then this could be the headlights of an oncoming car playing across the wall. Still, I will admit it is quite bizarre to have a light anomaly suddenly appear in such an extraordinarily spooky location, so a ghost sighting is not out of the question. If only he would have turned around, we would know for sure if this is from a car or not. However, turning around is the last thing you would do if you thought of an apparition in front of you. Hey, It's Liam is a British YouTuber doing a 24-hour challenge in a local abandoned sanatorium. He and his friends climb through an open window and waste no time exploring a series of long interconnected hallways for whatever they can find. The floor is covered with scattered papers. It's definitely creepy, but they decide to press on. They venture downstairs and find lots of graffiti on the wall. Strange messages like "Don't listen to the voices" and "How long will they keep me down here?" It's unclear whether or not these words were written by patients before the facility closed down. Now, midnight is fast approaching and Liam hears a noise nearby. They bravely go to investigate as a group, and this is what they find.
I don't know what. We have to get
A door that was open moments ago slams in front of them. Then, as they are trying not to panic and decide what to do next, a scream interrupts their thoughts and sends them fleeing. Let me know if you think the scream was real or edited. A door closing by itself is another classic sign of a ghost haunting the place, and it doesn't always have to be a ghost slamming the door. A gentle closing is oftentimes twice as scary.
If you're out there, please shut this door one more time. That's all I'm asking. Just me. Oh my. Okay, I'm getting seriously freaked out right now.
The person who captured the paranormal activity says they were home alone when the door shut by itself a few times.
I don't believe that just happened. I didn't think I'd get anything. Well, I'm definitely going to be filming this area more.
He says a ghost slammed it shut in the past, but this time it shut it gently. Afterwards, he investigates the door to show us there's nobody standing on the other side because there's no room. It's apparently a haunted staircase, presumably leading to the attic. He says there are no open windows behind him, which was my guess. At 1 minute, you can see no string around the interior knob, which was my other guess. Freaky, right? This video was supposedly taken in South Africa in April of 2013. Some tourists are fishing when something huge instantly snaps their industrial strength fishing line without any effort. Shortly thereafter, it comes straight for their boat. Water floods the vessel, and according to the uploader, the video was later somehow recovered and salvaged. As for the boat, investigators thought that perhaps a whale had tried to jump over it and failed. It was the only creature, they said, that was large enough to cause that amount of destruction, except of course, for a megalodon shark. Don't Look Out the Window, published in November of 2011 by Mr. Jocko van Heerden. A group of friends just hanging out has one more hanger-on than expected in this scary video, filmed in Johannesburg, South Africa. The young people are just chilling in a bedroom when something catches their eye. Turning toward the sliding glass door, an enormous pale creature is standing outside their window watching. The creepy creature's features are vague, and at first it's not hard to tell if what's there is actually a living figure or not, but then it very clearly moves. Someone in the room gasps as the enormous figure lurks out of sight. What is this thing? Is it supernatural or extraterrestrial? And why is it watching them? I don't think I'd feel safe in that house ever again after this. A UFO appears to burn in midair as it stalls directly over Area 51 in front of plenty of witnesses. I think this video is probably CGI because the smoke almost looks like it could be a looping animation. But if anything like this were to ever happen on Earth, Area 51 is where it would most likely take place, so I'm not entirely discounting the legitimacy of this video. Have you ever received a call from the beyond? TikToker Epic Paranormal posted this video explaining that their mom received a phone call from her uncle. The only problem is, he's passed away. I don't know about you, but that entire clip gave me chills. Many in the comments have similar stories, having received calls from their departed loved ones. Others have a feeling of dread after watching this clip. I can't blame them. If I got a voicemail like this, I would be terrified. A YouTuber named Hunting the Dead dares to play with a Ouija board inside of his own home. Aside from using the board itself, he also has a ghost hunting device which scans different frequencies for any signs of the paranormal. He begins asking questions out loud, and it isn't long before he gets a fairly clear response.
Is there evil in this home?
The spirit then begins highlighting the same number 3 times in a row.
6. Holy shit, 6. 6.
Hunting the Dead soon finds out exactly who the spirit is and what it wants.
Zozo, do you want to attack me? Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's on, yes, it went off.
Shortly afterwards, Hunting the Dead begins to feel gravely ill and needs to go to the hospital. A group of forest rangers set up a camera at the Platte River State Fish Hatchery in Michigan to live stream a nest of baby bald eagles mature. They were never intending to accidentally capture a second, much larger creature instead during the live feed. A giant humanoid figure covered in what appears to be black fur prowls around the forest floor below. It doesn't look like any other native forest animal, as it clearly stands upright and swings its arms while walking. Maybe it's a person in a full bodysuit, or maybe it's an actual Bigfoot. Then again, since numerous other Bigfoot sightings have been reported in the state over the years, it could very well be legit. This statue is said to move her eyes repeatedly. Thousands of people flock to see it, and some are saying that it happens here in this video. One person thought it might be blinking here. I definitely see it as well. Another person says her left arm moves. I don't see it, and I think those who do probably are getting fooled by unsteady camera work in my opinion. Still, thousands of people have visited this statue because apparently it moves, so maybe I'm the one who's wrong. Remember that guy who was caught on a Ring doorbell video licking someone's doorbell? Well, we've just found his soulmate. Posted in December of 2017, the footage shows a young blonde woman approach the doorbell. At first, it appears as if it was provoked by a dare. The woman walks up to the doorbell, holds up her hands strangely, as though she knows she's on candid camera, and then looks over to her right, as if looking at someone out of frame. But then she walks back, just standing awkwardly, looking around at random, before approaching the door again. Is she waiting for someone to answer? Maybe, but what she does while waiting is not normal. The woman opens her mouth wide, moving closer to the camera, and you can actually hear her bite. She then backs away again, as though nothing happened, appears to be waiting for a moment, then starts to do this. Well, it's all well and good to get your daily exercise in. Doing that on someone's doorstep late at night after biting their security camera seems a little out of it, don't you agree? These strange lights have been flooding around in the desert for years with no reasonable explanation.
Now here we are in the morning, barely out on the Marshall city limits, and we're seeing them out there, so Pete and I we're having a great Marshall Lights trip.
But floating is not all they can do. These lights are also known to change sizes, split apart, merge, and disappear at random. Sometimes they even seem to land on the ground and travel at high rates of speed, which makes some people suspect that they are UFOs. I personally have no idea what these lights could be, but maybe we can all figure it out together. Some people say that it's a natural phenomenon that's caused by a buildup of electricity. However, I don't see any obvious weather disturbances in any of these videos.
Look
at that.
Oh my god.
Check it out.
Wow.
Okay.
Some videos on the internet can haunt you. February 20th, 2003, Station Nightclub, a Great White concert. The headliner takes the stage seconds after they open with their Billboard hit Desert Moon. Pyrotechnics are launched by the tour manager as part of the spectacle. Little does he know that the acoustic foam located in the ceilings and walls around the stage will soon go ablaze. Most initially believed it was part of the show, but soon the crowd began to understand that this was not a controlled incident. The band's lead vocalist, Jack Russell, said into the microphone, "Wow, that's not good," before some of the band and their entourage fled the stage via the west exit. A stampede towards the main exit resulted in a bottleneck and trampling. Cameraman Brian Butler for WPRI TV of Providence was there that night filming for a piece on nightclub safety. Some of his footage was released to national news stations. If you're wondering if you can stomach the footage, take notes from Redditor Buffalady87, who writes, The worst part is in the beginning, there's so much screaming. Then as people are running outside, you realize it's actually pretty quiet. Not because people calmed down, but because you were actually listening to the people still inside. When Ravi Singh and his friends see two mysterious figures in white, they have an odd reaction and decide to flash their high beams instead of driving away. I feel like they're trying to prove a point here, but I don't understand. So if you speak the language, tell me what they're saying. What's kind of weird is how the possible spirits always seem to stay just outside of the headlights, almost like they want to follow but only while staying in the darkness. And I think they are trying to point out that the spirits do not show up on the dash cam, but I'm not sure. I'm hoping someone can translate this scenario, because I really want to know what's going on. A YouTuber named RevoX encounters a wild pheasant in the graveyard that is not at all afraid. The colorful bird looks over its shoulder to make sure he is watching, and then takes the lead, guiding him someplace quite important that I'll reveal in just a moment. It hops off the road, and at 1 minute and 8 seconds, walks this little beaten trail of matted grass.
Have you ever seen anything like it before?
That's been trampled over many times before. The determined little bird stops and circles back to the human, again showing absolutely no signs of fear. It even looks straight at him, at the end like it knows what is being said.
There's my mum's grave, and it will remain, as it has done for the past few days, going round and round it.
So is this a real spirit guide or just a pet? Some Native Americans believed pheasants to be a sign of protection and concealment because they like to bury themselves in tall grass. A creepy behavior when taken within the context of a graveyard. They can be tamed, but even if this is a pet, I don't think you can teach it to lead you somewhere for over a minute, and I never see it get a food treat as a reward or anything. So I think it's real. What is moving in the darkness on this foggy road? The YouTuber thinks he's spotted a skinwalker. He gets out of his car to take a closer look, but when he does, Skinwalker or not, you'd better run. Three friends are driving down some back roads late at night when they've caught something on video that has people questioning what was on the side of the road.
What?
No, can you see that?
Oh my god, what is that?
It's a dog, isn't it?
Can you hear that growling?
The creature looks at them as they question whether or not it's been hit and needs their help. While it goes deeper into the forest, they feel like they should get out of the car and check to see if it's all right.
God, I'm really scared. Tom! Where is it? Is it in the bush?
A deep growling sound coming from the woods keeps them from exploring any closer. They are pretty sure this isn't someone's dog, like they thought, but they aren't sure what to do next. That's when the decision is made for them. Run.
Is it? It sounds really close. Right, get in the car now, Tom.
The comments and likes for this video were split 50-50 between believers and skeptics. I might have thought this was real if I watched it just one time, but upon closer analysis, it's pretty obvious this was somebody in a creature costume on their hands and knees. When you look at their feet at 22 seconds, there are no claws, and you can tell this is a costume that you step into, or at least that's what I think. Tell me what you make of this bizarre encounter caught on a full moon that night. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.